Hello, I am the teller of stories that trail from the original story you've heard. I am Pixie People, and let me tell you about the time where Tenko, the brother of Tanjiro, survived instead of him. Let us begin. We begin our story with the beginning of Tanjiro. This day, instead of him going out for coal, he stayed home. But but Tenko, being the absolute lovejoy of a brother he is, he grabbed the coal himself and walked into town. Everyone just said, "Great job, Tenko. Thanks for filling in for Tanjiro for the day. Here's some extra money just for that." So that he gets extra money, yay. But at what cost? So, Tenko walks home, and then he just drops the basket, looks forward. To mind you, he is older in this version. He's the same age as Tanjiro, but uh, yeah, he's older in this version. Then he sees that his family has died. Yeah, Tanjiro's dead. He was just his head was stomped in. And in this version, since Muzong didn't feel like it in this version, Nezuko dies. She does not become a demon, she just dies. So it's just Tenko now. And then Giyu appears to a kid just sitting there, stone cold. Then he looks towards Giyu, and Giyu just gets this random pressure on him, and that's just Tenko's pressure of losing all of his family members. And then the little light Tenko had that the time Giyu appeared, poof, gone. So then he gets up, takes his axe, and then just proceeds to run the fate of Giyu. If you're wondering why, he assumes that he's the murderer trying to finish off the job. But obviously Giyu was the one trying to help. But sadly, Tenko didn't know that, so he just started actually maneuvering Giyu. He is talented. And then the tactic that Tenko uses. But since Giyu was so tired out about it, Giyu dies. Yeah, Tenko kills Giyu. And then he just tears the axe from his face. Actually takes his Kamado, puts it on, then takes his Nichiren blade. Now he has an axe sword combo. And sadly for Giyu, Tenko also ripped off Sabito's part of it. And sewed it to his own clothes. So he proceeded to go back into town, drenched in Giyu's blood, because he cut him all over the place and it got all over him. With his blank face, just slowly walking. So a person tries to approach him because, they're the Good Samaritan. Then they get their head just chopped right into it. And then Tenko stabs the blade into the guy's knee and then just starts ripping into his head right in half. And he takes the blade out and then just keeps walking. So then, the police show up, but then Tenko just speed blitzes them and cuts both their heads off so fast that some people just said he was a demon. So they called the corp. And instead of a Hashira showing up, just a random guy. And then Tenko just death stares him. Guy gets petrified. And then Tenko just cuts his head. Not cuts his neck. Then just starts. Then he tears his head off. Because remember, Tenko in the original version was way more violent than Tanjiro. He's a violent dude. You take a violent person's family away, they become a demon. In a sense. And then he keeps walking and walking. And people keep trying to stop him from killing people, but he just keeps murdering them. And eventually, he leaves his town. And then just keeps walking until his body becomes numb. And he stars. And he falls over. Knocked out. And then, then a person, a shadowy figure picks up him and walks him somewhere. Then, he wakes up in a tiny hut in a random village he doesn't know. But instead of wanting to kill anyone here, he wants to at least get a new weapon because he lost both his weapons. Until a guy walks in with a weird looking mask, with a rosy cheeked mask with a long mouth. Yes, I'm making him spawn into the Nichiren Blade Forest, which is impressive because he's just there. He walked that long to the point where he landed really close to the area, but he passed out. So a good Samaritan saved him, but Tenko is just death staring him, wondering what he wants. Because, mind you, he's not a good human person. So the guy just says, starts sweating and says, "I'd just like to patch you up, yeah, that's all." And, you know. And then we get the time skip. Well, Tenko looks towards the guy like... and then the time skip happens. We get some snippets of his training where he's like lifting a whole rock of the Nichiren stuff and then carrying it down a mountain. He starts punching the rock. Then he breaks the rock. Then the rock gets made. Then he crafts his own weapon again. He makes his axe and his blade again. So it was an axe and sword combo. He makes a sheath, and then the time skip is over. Tenko now has the red drip. He has a red Komodo. He has feet. He has socks and I don't know, those shoes that are made of wood and are in Japan. I don't remember what they're called, but he has those too. He has a sheath for his axe and his sword, and a cool looking hat with bells attached to it, and a mask with it. A sword mask, but like it's tweaked to the point where it looks like a demon. And then he just walks to the exams. And then he goes to the, Demon Slayer exams. I still feel really bad that I killed Giyu. I'm so sorry. I didn't want to kill him. I just felt like that would be the logical answer. I really feel bad for him. I feel really bad. Okay, no. We need some light. Let's say, while he's walking, Tenko thinks, I wonder how that guy I killed is doing right now. How his soul's doing. And then we get to Giyu. Then we zoom in on a guy with a half a Komodo turning with a giant slash down his eye. Yeah, Giyu still lives. And now he looks pissed. He looks bloodthirsty. He's like gripping a drink too. Cause he lost his sister's half of the Komodo. And his Komodo's ripped. And he got his face cut up. So now Giyu's pissed. And now Deku just, not Deku, who am I talking about? Tenko. Then walks, thinking, yeah, he's just dead. He's probably dead. Then he goes to the exam, smacks out of his, then he pulls out his axe and his blade, and then he just clears the whole area. Oh, if you're wondering what his Nichiren color is, it's red. Yeah, I ain't joking, it's red. If you're wondering, well, he doesn't have a breathing style. Nah, he has sun breathing. No water breathing. Nah, just sun breathing. He's not mastered, but he knows all of the techniques. Because he studied into the sun thing. Because he was the one that then performed the ritual that, after his dad died. He was the one performing the ritual. So he learned sun breathing. Because he was the hunter instead of the, the guy that chopped wood. Which is really cool for him. Good for you, Tenko. Well, he just clears it really easy since he has sun breathing. He does run into Hand Demon. The Hand Demon mistakes him for a water student. But then he just gets sliced up by fire. And then the guy dies. So the Hand Demon just immediately dies. No sympathy. Instead of sympathy, he actually walks toward the decapitated head and slams his foot into him. And starts stomping his face in until he dies. Tenku's an absolute demon. He is no nice guy. He's not Tanjiro, he's Tenko. And then Tenku just finished the exam. Walks up. Yeah, and that's just Tenko, Zenitsu, basically everyone in the original. Once, once they say they'll make the blade, pick a rock so they can make their blade, obviously Tenko says, I already have one, no thank you. What? And then he pulls out his blade with the red thing, and then they get shocked because they haven't seen red. And they get scared. Then they, immediately send a letter to the main Hashar area to a guy who has a red Nichiren. And then he just leaves. Then Tenko leaves. Genya did his thing, but no one stopped him. Instead of getting humbled, he actually got not humbled. Yeah, so he doesn't get humbled in this version. Because Tenko is not that cool. He's not that nice of a person, as I stated, after he killed half his village. And then Tenko just starts. What was the next arc of it? I think. I can't remember what the next arc was. I think the next arc was like. I think he goes to the spider area. Right after there. Oh wait, no. Yeah, then he goes on his journey. He gets his crow. And then he's told, the crow tells him to, also this crow has a slip on its eye. And it has a wooden foot. And the bird says to go to this hut. And so Tenko goes to this hut. He sees two kids crying, saying that their family got killed in that tent. And Tenko doesn't give two fucks and just says, well, I was here anyway, so I guess I'll just do it on the way. And he just goes in. Zenitsu is out there. Zenitsu was running from a girl because he was getting no play and was get run away from a mob. Because, you know, Senko took a different route through the forest. And then he runs into the building not knowing it's haunted. Then bumps into Tenko, who pulls out of his axe and is about to swing at Zenitsu's head. But Zenitsu screams loud enough for him to know that wasn't a demon. And he stares at him like... and then he speaks. What are you doing here? I came to hide in here. Why did you try attacking me? There's demons in this area. And unless you're a demon slayer, which I guess you are, you can't be in here. Well, I'll just leave. Well, you are a demon slayer, so let's go. And then he grabs Zenitsu by the collar and just pulls him in. They just walk through the whole thing. Until, Zenitsu and, him get clapped separated. Where Tenko is facing off against the drum demon. And Zenitsu is facing off the, lizard demon. He still gets afraid, he still gets knocked out, and he still kills it. Zenitsu. And Tenko just, immediately gets the pattern of its movements. And then just hits him with the... And he hits him with the, second form. Flaming wheel. But instead of him spinning, it's him throwing his axe. And then he cuts the drum demon's head off. When the drum demon tries explaining its backstory, Tenko just says, "Shut up, demon. I don't care what you were in your past life. You did some horrible things, and now you're dead for it. Now rot in hell." And then he punches the demon in the face. Then it disappears. And then he picks his axe back up. And then sees Zenitsu gone. And then he just walks out the building. And then he looks to see Zenitsu getting his ass beat by Inosuke. Saying, fight back, fight back. Inosuke. And then Tenko just sighs, saying, I can't just let this guy beat him up. So Tenko just bolts at him, clocks him right in the gut, cracking a rib. And then Inosuke starts laughing because now that was a hit. Come on. And then Tenko, with his superior strength and speed, he starts clapping up Inosuke. And he just pots him in his jaw. Since remember, he doesn't have a thick noggin. And he punches off Inosuke's mask. And then he blushes, confused because he hit a woman. He thought it was a woman, but Inosuke is a male. But Inosuke just says, why'd you stop hitting me? And then he remembers, oh, this is definitely not a female. Then he gets into his stance, and then Inosuke falls the fuck over. And then he just stays by him because you can't just let him die. And Zenitsu has his head bleeding. And Zenitsu's head's bleeding from all the beating, and then he thanks him profusely for the save. Tenko says, I am a demon slayer, and I must save whoever is in trouble. So is my obligation, fellow demon slayer. Then he says, then Zenitsu thinks, really, you think I'm a demon slayer? Well, you did kill the third one, didn't you? I did? Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I guess I was just unconscious for it. What? Tenko, actually hits him the what? Confused because how do you not know you took him out? I guess I just pass out sometimes when I'm scared. You probably should figure out how to control that. Good idea. Then Tenku just, doesn't Tenko head home? No, Tenko then just, after Inosuke wakes up, says, follow me. Because, the crow Tenko says that he has to go to this upper moon one's base. So he just gets up and says, follow me if you want to kill something or stay safe. Both is fine. Inosuke follows him because fight. Zenitsu follows him because free safety. So, sorry, but, Tenko just keeps walking, and walking, until Inosuke and Zenitsu tell him to stop, because they're both exhausted, because Tenko doesn't know the meaning of exhausted, and says, fine, only for one night, let's go there. Then they walk there, with Zenitsu and Inosuke being annoying. Tenko just bap their heads. He teleports behind them and smacks their head in, telling them to shut up and let him take care of everything. And then they be quiet for the entire time. Except Inosuke trying to challenge it. Except Inosuke trying to challenge Tenko every 2 seconds. But then Tenko just bops him in the teeth and makes him shut up and move from his bed. And when he tries to steal his food, he immediately just slaps it away, saying, you have your own food. Be grateful for what you have. Tenko is more brutal with his kindness. And Tenko relaxes, saying, sorry, I'm trying to learn my relaxedness, like my brother used to do. And then he grips his hand, grips his Kamado, shedding a single tear. And he's just, and Zenitsu and Inosuke look at him with this dour expression, being sad for Tenko. But, what are they supposed to do? They couldn't have saved his brother if they tried, because they were unexperienced at the time. Especially Zenitsu. Inosuke could have tried. Of course, they didn't know it was Muzong. They just knew it was a random demon. They didn't know the strength of it or not. And then they relax. Not relax, but then they go to sleep with some mixed experiences, like Inosuke not being loud, and Zenitsu not being loud either, and Taiku's just sleeping. Like Batman. No, but like seriously, he sleeps like Batman. Like he sleeps for 2 hours, and then 30 minutes, and then wakes up fully replenished. And he just sits there waiting for them to wake back up. And then they just head home. And then he gets up. And then, after a couple hours, everyone wakes up. Well, Inosuke and Zenitsu wake up. And then they leave, and before Inosuke can tell the lady to not burn him on fire, Takeo immediately just looks at him and basically says, no. And of course, Inosuke says, in his brain, yeah, okay, no. So he just lets it happen. And then they leave for the spider area. They immediately just walk. And then they go in. And then they force it. Instead of letting him just leave, Zenitsu gets dragged in there. And they all stick together this time, because Inosuke and Zenitsu really trust Tenko in this, because he's that force to be reckoned with. Obviously, Inosuke trails off to fight that big Spider-Man, because he gets smacked away. And then Zenitsu actually goes to fight the tiny spiders, and then Tenko just sticks to fight the upper moon one. Lower moon one. So used to saying upper moon. I forgot there was a lower moon. And then, since he starts out with flame breathing, he just cleans through all of the things with 0 difficulty. And then goes to cut off the lower moon one until a Nichiren blade blocks him. Then the Nichiren hooks and cuts the lower moon one's head off. Yeah, it's a Giyu. And then, then Takeo was surprised because he thought he killed you. I thought I killed you. It takes a lot more to kill me. Then he grips onto his blade and starts yelling at him with pure fury in his voice. Until Shinobu comes and tries to calm Giyu down. Yeah, she just gets pimp slapped, grabbed by the neck, and then just suplexed with no difficulty. She took a nice nap. Luckily, she already saved Zenitsu, so Zenitsu's fine. So is Inosuke. Because, you showed up, killed him immediately, did not elaborate, and left. And then, then it's Giyu versus Tenko again. And then they start their slash. Slash, 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 slash. And then Gyu gets surprised about the axe again, so he gets scared. So then he goes for Gyu's head for a lethal kill this time. So he doesn't come for him again. But instead of that, Gyu parries him with his own hand. And then he punches. Then Gyu punches Tenko away. And they both just start blocking, parrying, and Gyu tries to cut Ki. Then Gyu goes for Tenko's eye, and lo and behold, he actually stabs his eye, but Tenko got a hook onto his blade, Gyu's Nichiren blade, and snapped it before it killed him fully. So he took out the Nichiren blade from his eyeball. The Nichiren blade has his eyeball on it, then he throws it away, closes his eye, and then patches it up. And Tenko has one eyeball. And then Gyu runs towards him, takes his part of his drip, his Kameto. For the record, yes, half of that was his sister's. He didn't just get rid of it. It was really good cloth. Then he just tied it to him. So then he says, "We're even." Then Gyu picks up Shinobu and leaves. Then it sits down with panting breath, because that was one of the hardest fights he's ever done. And then you know, that's all he does. This whole series, basically. And that's all Gyu does. Then Tenko just heads to the... Then Tenko's bird shows up and says, "Well, go to the Poshra area. This time it's because he has a red Nichiren blade, instead of him having a demon sister." And he just heads out. And Gyu just, Tenko then heads out. If you're wondering why I didn't talk about Tenko meeting Lady Takeo, because he didn't feel like going into the city. He's a nomad. He doesn't go in the city. Plus, he doesn't have a sister, so he doesn't really like to socialize either. Plus, he hates crowds, so he'll just kill the whole crowd. Whole reason he didn't go. So no, that's all. That's all he does. And then Tenko just... And then Takeo appears in the Hashira area, to all the Hashiras being unimpressed with Gyu being right next to Sanemi, with Sanemi being smirking because he thinks he can take Tenko on, which he probably could if he thought so. And Takeo just looks towards Sanemi with a smirk and he says, something funny? And Sanemi says, yeah, it's the fact that you beat Giyu without even a Nichiren blade. Do you want to test if you could beat me? And then Sanemi's like, yeah. And then Sanemi takes out his Nichiren blade and is ready to throw hands with Tenko until but Tenko just grabs a rock out of this that's going straight for his forehead. Looks towards Mencho? How did I figure his name? It hasn't been said in the manga yet. But the guy that threw rocks at Tanjiro for being subordinate. It starts with an M, I know. I just can't remember his name for some reason. Then he gets shocked. Then Tenko flicks the rock right back, smacking the crap out of Muchiro. I remember his name. It's Muchiro. Muchiro? No, that's definitely not his name. That guy? Then then that guy just that 16-year-old, I guess, just falls over. Then, Tengen gets frustrated because you hit one of the Hashira in a not so flashy way. So then he takes out his Nichiren's blade, goes to strike at Tenko, but Tenko just blocks it with one hand. Tengen is doing both hands. Remember, this guy's basically as strong as Yurichi in this timeline. Not as strong, but strong. Then he, if you're wondering how he's blocking it inside the hooks. Then he picks out his axe, slams it in. Then he slams that axe into his Nichiren blade, which then shatters Tengen's swords. Then Tenko grabs Tengen's head and just smashes against his knee, knocking Tengen out. Yeah, already Tengen, it's confirmed that he could beat Shinobu. Actually, I can't believe you all thought that Tengen had a chance. He didn't lose to Giyu. And then Rengoku gets mad because he hurt his best buddy. So then he pulls out his Nichiren blade, goes to strike him. Goes to strike Tenko with his blade. Until Tenko this time didn't realize it. Instead of Rengoku killing him, the master with the who was blind says stop, and then Rengoku has his blade right next to Tenko's head. But he stops, puts his Nichiren blade away, and then drags his Tengen away. And, Tenko just doesn't give two fucks. And just heads. Then then the blind guy explains why he's here. He says to show them the Nichiren blade more closely. Then he shows them his blade, and they're all shocked because it's red, which they've never seen a red Nichiren blade before. They've seen an orange. They haven't seen a red one before. Sorry. But then, of course, Tenko just sheaths his blade and then leaves to talk to his buddies. And they all say, Tenko, what's good? And except for Inosuke, he just says, hey. Since he can't scream. Then Tenko just lays down to relax. And then he goes to sleep. Because he feels like it. And that is where I'm going to leave things for right now. I will see y'all in Season 2. And see everyone.